All right, hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on this wonderful Tuesday, February the 2nd? I'm Life with Matthew, and with me is the wonderful John DiMarco.
The wonderful John DiMarco, who's that?
You goober.
Surely not.
Yeah. Not just a nameless red shirt, the wonderful John DiMarco.
Oh, thank you.
Well, guys, I hope that you are excited for this week's SeaQuest. It is somewhat...
is worth this.
it wasn't as Darwin-centric as I thought it was going to be, but it is still a Darwin kind of episode. And thank you so much. AOC saying, "Hello, my teddy bear. What is your OnlyFans account name?" AOC, thank you so much for your donation. I don't have an OnlyFans account. I don't think my wife would be very okay with me having an OnlyFans account. I don't think I'd be very okay with me having an OnlyFans account. I think I'd be kind of creeped out by who might be watching me. But thank you all the same, AOC. Weird. With that, in the chat, hello to Kuroganite saying, "Viva Kuroga, Viva Darwin." Yes, it is a Darwin episode. Not as bad as other Darwin episodes we had, and it's also a Lucas episode. I feel like they're discovering that Darwin and Lucas tend to be a winning combination. They do good things together.
They're the real dynamic duo of the seas.
They are. Yeah, they're like Spock and McCoy. I'll leave it up to y'all to decide which one is which, but they definitely have a good dynamic. And 47 Yorktown throwing in a bunch of dolphins. Thank you so much for that, 47. Thomas Potts saying, "I think one of the titles you have the episode name is wrong." You are absolutely right, Thomas. And if anyone else saw that, you can refresh and you will see that I did correct it on the little thumbnail for YouTube. The correct name is The Last Lap at Luxury. I think that's the wrong preposition, but I checked on the episode title. I checked on Wikipedia. I didn't actually check within the episode. Maybe that would have been a better source than off Wikipedia and off of my file name system. But it only occurred to me right now to actually look at the episode itself. Then
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be at.
I think so. But then there's the less than wonderful John DiMarco in the chat saying, "I'm sure he'll refuse to fix it, just like with the MCEU." Yeah, I kept that one. I definitely kept that one. Bradley Briggs. Yes. Bradley Briggs, zup y'all. How you doing today, Bradley? Multi-Gunman, how are you tonight? Professor Brain Specs, always so glad to have you here in our streams. Springtime, breaking news. Life with Matthew is a spy for the UN against Kuroga. Fake news, everyone. Not true. Not true. I am a loyal Kurogan. That is true. But I'm not part of the UN. I'm not sure if Kuroga is even part of the UN, to be honest. Tim Chris saying, "Is SeaQuest still going?" Well, our weekly stream is. In fact, we're getting real close to the end of the season. After this episode, we'll only have 4 episodes left. So as we go into March, we will be starting up Season 2. And I'm excited to see where they go in Season 2, which will be the last season with Captain Bridger. After this season, he bows out, from what I understand, in Season 2.
He's no longer a regular, but he does show up in a few episodes.
Okay. 47 Yorktown asking, "Is dolphin-free tuna?" Yeah, if I'm going to have tuna aboard the SeaQuest, it better have some dolphin in it. Robert Rose Jr., how are you doing tonight? I'm doing well. Thank you. Thomas, did I just call John a goober? I did. I absolutely did. Bradley saying, "Why is there a Minecraft video in your SeaQuest playlist?" Is there? Did I actually add a Minecraft video? I don't have any Minecraft videos, so it would be weird if I had one in my SeaQuest playlist.
That makes it even worse.
It really does. Like, I'm genuinely confused as to why. I'll look here. Let's see. I'm coming over to playlists, and then SeaQuest. Let's take a look at the playlist. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then the SeaQuest DSGV. Yeah, there's no Minecraft. And then the Minecraft National Zoo just popped up in my SeaQuest play. How did this get, Thomas? How did you get the Minecraft National Zoo into my playlist? That makes no sense whatsoever. But we'll pull that out. Very weird. And now it's popular with hide and seek. My playlist has a mind of its own. I'm not sure what's going on there. Very weird. But thank you for the catch, and I'm glad we can go ahead and pull it out. So we just have our wonderful SeaQuest videos within it.
Matthew's playlist is greening sentience. We're in trouble now.
Yeah, it must be Project Prometheus. It's taken over. And let me get back to the chat here. Professor Brady Specs, what is OnlyFan? OnlyFan is an adult website in which people who can watch you who are only your fans, and you will do adult-oriented activities, is my best understanding of this. Maybe the idea was you could do more than adult activities on OnlyFans, but that seems to be its primary use. Basically, it's a pay-per-view kind of thing. Like, only my fans get to see me do this stuff. It's weird. It's weird. Springtime. Is Bird of Prey 5 really human and not a prototype of a proof of concept for a project to make a first-gen AI YouTube host? Bird of Prey 5, absolutely human. You saw the video of Charlie biting him. And another article 103. We've gone right past 100. I'm going to have to find a time to collate all 100 articles of impeachment against me and read them as a YouTube video and address them one at a time for your enjoyment and my displeasure.
And you're already behind. We're up to 107 by now.
Oh gosh, these live streams, they just collect articles of impeachment. I can do no right on my live streams, but that's okay. I'm going to keep doing them. Well, one really fun thing that I have to show you guys tonight, you may have missed this if you weren't at Anti-Trigger Mind's Thursday night movie stream. So every other Thursday, we watch a movie and we comment on it, kind of roast it, have a good time enjoying it. We've been watching SeaQuest for the past 2 months. Or not SeaQuest, excuse me. We've been watching a different sea-related movie, which is Sharknado. We're up to Sharknado 4. And on that one, I was able to open up a wonderful gift from Thomas Potts, which is this guy right here. This is an official SeaQuest DSV action figure of our favorite dolphin, Darwin. And it is just, it's so wonderful. Because what's really great about this is down here, this is actually a stand. So you can get Darwin in his scuba outfit, which we will see tonight, the special scuba gear outfit that he wears. And you can put it on the stand right here. And he has like a walkie-talkie in there and not a walkie-talkie. This is the mammal vocoder, the device that lets him talk, along with the sonar or a sonar tag. And what's really great about this is they had a whole line. Let's see, you had Captain Bridger, Commander Ford, Darwin right here, Lucas, Lieutenant Commander Hitchcock, Chief Crocker, Lieutenant O'Neill, Dr. Z, which I haven't met him yet, obviously, and the Regulator. He was such an amazing character that we had to get the Regulator. Check this out right there on the back. You can see all the different options. This is just so good.
Oh, I think Dr. Z might be supposed to be that chemical warfare guy from one of the earlier episodes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. He was the guy who had no remorse about killing people. He was just like, yeah, I'm evil, get over it. And he actually ended up killing Westphalen's brother, Dr. Westphalen. And he actually played the guy who played Dr. Z also appeared in 7 Days with Commander Ford. They reprised their fun together, and that's a great series also if you've never seen it, 7 Days. Wow. Well, let me make sure that I actually drop the link for tonight's episode into the chat, and I will pin this. So what I have just put in the chat, as you guys know, and I guess for anyone who doesn't know and is joining us for the first time, what this is this will take you to my screening room over on cy2.be, and it syncs up all of our watch time together. So this link will only be valid right now during this live stream. If you are watching this at some point in the future, and you are upset that you can't watch this live with us, do not fret. You can go to peacocktv.com right now, sign up for a free account, and be able to watch all 3 seasons of SeaQuest DSV for free. That's a really great thing that they are doing. So for as long as they're doing it, we will continue to do this. But the only benefit that we have for the cy2.be is the fact that it syncs all of our times up together, so that as we watch it, you're in roughly the same spot. You might be a second or two behind, but you should be more or less synced up together with what we're watching, which just makes these so much more fun to be able to watch these in sync with everyone. So with all that out of the way, we are going to get this episode started. This is episode, 20? I think we're at episode 20, The Last Lap at Luxury. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you a 5 count. If you can, jump into our screening room, and if you can't, do not fret. Right below John and me, there-ish, you will see that we throw up a clip. I throw up one clip about every 5 seconds with a second of transition time between the two, which means it looks like you're getting a clip every 3 seconds. But I assure you it's every 5 seconds, and I just blend them together. And Robert Rose Jr. saying, "Ha, ha, Peacock TV. Ha." Yes, just like Beavis. Okay, so with all that, guys, we're going to get started here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. So we are getting a Tonight on SeaQuest, a preview of the episode we're about to watch. And we see that we're kind of honoring Lucas in this episode. He's one of the great minds of the SeaQuest. But something goes wrong, and we've lost some of the top leaders of the Confederation of the UEO and Lucas. They're all missing. And it looks like they're somewhere trapped in some water rising. And then we get a nice, long, panning shot of the SeaQuest. And here we get to see Admiral Noyce, aka Admiral Paris from Voyager, having this good back and forth with Bridger. And, Admiral Noyce, he's looking at all the different knickknacks, the tchotchkes that Bridger has in his office. And Bridger's saying, "Hey, come on, do I go into your house and mess with your stuff?" And, Noyce responds with, "Well, this isn't your house," which, come on. If you spend 24/7 aboard a sub and you have your own quarters, I think that kind of starts to constitute your home after a little bit.
Advanced attitude training.
And one of the reasons Bridger is so upset right now is that they're supposed to have one of these conferences of the UEO Confederation about every 6 months. But it's been 2 years since the last one, and Bridger's really annoyed that he's having to ferry the head of the UEO to where the summit location is going to be. And he's just talking about this is a waste of expenditure. It's going to cost $2 million just to transport her, which is something to really, really think about just for a second. We find out in a little bit that this is like an 8-hour trip. Because the SeaQuest is able to travel at 200 miles an hour. So from the point where they pick up the head of the UEO to this island location where the summit is going to be held, it's an 8-hour trip. The detour, not that long of a detour from what we understand, but he did have to go out of his way. So let's say he has lost a day and a half. The SeaQuest is spending $2 million every day and a half is what Bridger is trying to inform us right now as they ferry the head of the UEO back and forth. That is an insane number to think about, that let's say 2 days, every 2 days, SeaQuest spends $2 million. That is a high cost of operation. And it makes me wonder how that would compare to, say, NASA's on average daily operation costs. So here we have the summit location. Everything is still being built. And you have this guy who, he plays the Martian Manhunter. That's it, on Supergirl. This is the same actor, just obviously like 20 years ago. And he's wondering, does it work? And we don't know what it is yet, but they're really behind the gun, and we're not sure if it's working yet. He says, well, I'm going to test it out. And the foreman's saying, well, shouldn't we clear these people? He goes, well, if it works, there's no danger. So he pushes a button, the whole place shakes and shudders, and wouldn't you know, it doesn't work. And one of the construction men actually falls to his death, falls headlong down into this pit that we're looking at. And why? Because he was not properly tethered. OSHA would have a field day with that construction site.
Well, I'm sure he's wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, exactly. It just looked bright yellow. No, it was red. And let's see, Robert Rose Jr. is saying, space, the final frontier. Oh, sorry, wrong show. It so is. Josh Street, how are you doing tonight? Even this theme music would fit in perfectly. Like, one of these days, I'm going to make a video just taking either TNG or Voyager and have the theme song going with SeaQuest's music instead. Because it would fit in just so perfectly, I think. Professor Brainy Speck saying, the Babylon Project was our best hope for peace. I'm assuming that's the opening for Babylon 5, which, Professor, we need to set up a time. We need to get this going. I'm not sure when we can do it, but we've got to find out something. So we're getting a PowerPoint presentation talking about how for millennia people fought over land. And I do wonder in this shot how many of those kind of nations are even close to their same territory as what we see in that map. And now, instead of just fighting for land, we're seeing that we're ever expanding outward into the ocean. And the mandate of the United Earth Organization is to maintain peace. Peace in the ocean. Thomas Potts, Matthew watches Supergirl? I watched the first season and thought it was clever enough. I think the second season is when it really started to lose me, and I didn't even bother with the third season. Whichever season opened up with them making a dig at Trump, where the Hillary president had been elected, and they all make a bunch of snide comments like, yeah, I can't believe anyone voted for the other guy. He lost in a landslide. And of course, it's incredibly awkward because Trump didn't lose. Like, they recorded it before the election. They were just so confident he would lose, they recorded it. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? This show, it's just off the rails stupid at this point. I'm not going to do this. And here we get a long whistle blow, which I'm not sure if this is the correct sounding for a dignitary. Like, I would say the closest analog would be like the president, since this is the head of the UEO. But then you find out, shocker, it's not a man, it's a woman. The woman's in charge of the UEO. Which, it was funny because the whole time they only referred to her by her last name. and has really been describing her as this, this hard case. And yeah, she likes Bridger, but she's really annoying. Or the commander is really annoying, really tough. And then, it's a woman. So it was a funny little bit they did. But fortunately, she's friendly enough, and she's asking, how long is it going to take for us to get there by dinner? And Bridger again makes the comment, it's about $2 million, madam. She says, oh, don't worry, I'll take it out of NASA's budget. Which apparently not only is she in charge of the UEO, she also has in charge of NASA's funding, which is quite impressive. And she reveals that, she initially was against the building of the SeaQuest, but it was Captain Bridger's passionate presentation that brought her around. Which really makes you wonder how long she's been in charge of the UEO. Because she's not the president. Like, this is a weird thing. She's not the president. We met the president in a previous episode.
Well,
but
I don't think the UEO has a president, really. So it's not because it's not a country exactly.
Yeah, it's more like a UN for the ocean.
Yeah.
But somehow she still has NASA funding control.
Well, I think she may have just been joking there.
Maybe I am thinking too much about it. So she's here wanting to see some of these fantastic projects that are costing them so much money. And Dr. Westphalen is over here trying to call Darwin. But it seems like Lucas may be interfering and causing problems by playing around with Darwin right now. And sure enough, Darwin pops out of the water, throws a sponge at the wall clock, and then is just rejoicing. Yeah, another touchdown! And he turns around, sees everyone by the pool, sees the look that his surrogate mom and dad are giving him, and he's like, "Am I missing something right now?" Captain's like, "Yes, Darwin, go get him!" And she wants to know who is this, rapscallion, and Bridger says, it's a stowaway. Oh, Thomas, you're right. I did say Lucas. Oh well, we'll just do Lucas tonight. I can't even get me saying the name wrong consistent. But Darwin comes up and he says, Lucas Darwin played football. And, everyone's just so amazed. And
oh yeah, it reminds me. Did you see the article about the dolphin who picks the Super Bowl winners now?
I did not see. No, is this legit?
Yes, actually, I posted a news story in your Discord.
Oh, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. That's lovely, lovely. I'll go with the adjective lovely. That is lovely. But Madam UEO director wants to bring Darwin to the summit, and Darwin he's all on board. But Bridger really isn't interested in showcasing him for political gain. And she says, well, who's in charge of this marvel of technological breakthrough? And it cuts over to Lucas as he's jamming out and chewing gum. And Lucas is real surprised to see this lady. Because right now he has no idea who this lady is. He thinks he's just, some random person aboard the SeaQuest. And she's wondering what's up with the music. And he explains that he wrote an algorithm that grabs the best rock and roll riffs throughout the centuries and takes just those riffs and combines them together to make the greatest music of all time right here. And he just combines them together. And Bridger says, oh, that's great, but what happened to the viral sweep of the mainframe you were supposed to be working on? And he says, well, yeah, I'm working on that. Which is, it's interesting because right now, I looked at the production order last week, and we talked about how things air out of order. And right now, this is actually the third or fourth episode that was supposed to air. So the idea that he is doing a viral sweep of maybe the computer virus that took down the SeaQuest in episode 1 and 2. So maybe he's still trying to make sure there's nothing that's left there. But unfortunately, like, I looked, and if you just go by production order, things still appear completely out of order, because you still get things where Admiral Noyce becomes Admiral Noyce again instead of whatever he's supposed to be by the end of this episode. Springtime is wondering, in the pilot episode, SeaQuest was built for NORPAC / the U.S. Navy, but not the UEO, which didn't even exist, and was a military super submarine. She may have been the head of the U.S. Navy. She may have been at the time. She's definitely the head of the UEO now at this point. They definitely made a transition. In fact, I kind of wonder if they initially planned for there not to be a UEO. Well, no, by the first episode, there was a UEO. The SeaQuest later became part of the UEO, I think. The Springtime, I do think you're right. It was supposed to be U.S. Navy, but I want to say by the end of that two-parter, the UEO had come into existence. Stan Lee, how are you doing tonight, my friend? He says, I think I might have a copy of this episode. You should mention that, and then I got some weird equal stuff going on. Oh, you should mention what timestamp you're at more often so we can try to sync up. And then John is letting you know it was 12:15, but as the wonderful John DiMarco, again, points out that you can watch this episode with us in the screening room right now. But yes, as of right now, we are at the 14-minute, 25-second mark. And Professor Brainy Speck, you are 100% correct. The plot order, production order, and airing order can all be different, and they certainly are here in SeaQuest. And then we get Darwin. All the dignitaries have shown up, and Darwin is talking about how the universe is all, and we are the universe, which I think they did a better job in Full Metal Alchemist with their all is one and one is all.
Did they do it with a dolphin?
They did not. They were kids abandoned on an island and almost beaten to death. And to drive home the point of what one is all and all is one means. And it turns out the person almost beaten to death was their master. I mean, you know, things happen. And Lucas gets quite surprised. He gets called up to give a presentation on his device. And he has a big old wad of bubblegum, which is probably Big Red. This is undoubtedly where WandaVision gets their gum. But it is a giant wad of gum. And he's all chewing on it. And Bridger's like, come on, get it out. So he takes it out and sticks it under the podium. And he starts to give a presentation, which he wasn't prepared at all. He's just totally spitballing it. But unfortunately, he hits some buttons on the right hand of the podium, which are supposed to translate into different languages. So he's jumping between German, Japanese. I think we hear an African language here in a minute. But he's floundering. But, you know, everyone's being very well-natured about Lucas's foibles. See, Thomas is warning John that I'm sucking up to you. Don't fall for it. Good advice. And so the director of the UEO calls out Bridger and Admiral Noyce and is warning that there are several Confederate non-affiliated members of the UEO and who have gone on to a high alert that they are ramping up their military presence. And we're left to wonder why. There's no reason for them to be doing this, and we aren't certain at this point in time. But while they're talking about this outside the room, the Martian Manhunter guy pushes the button, and all of a sudden this room starts to violently shake. And something strange seems to be going on, and Lucas is the only one who has the presence of mind to look out a window and sees that they are descending fast into this open chamber. Springtime is saying SeaQuest was only a NORPAC sub for the very beginning of the first episode under its first captain. The UEO was very new in season was very new in season 3. The UEO was around much longer than it was in season 1, season 2. Or episode 1, episode 2. Okay. So the door opens back up and everyone's gone. Where did they go? Everyone's missing. Commercial break. Stanley's saying, oh, sorry, I didn't know there was some sort of service to watch in a group. I'll have to check it out. And as John is saying, yes, it is up at the top in the chat area. It's a pinned comment. That is the screening room where you can go right now and be synced up with what we're seeing. It only works during the stream right now. For anyone watching in the future, then hopefully you were able to sync up with my 5 count so that you were on the same pace as the rest of us. But just in case you're not, we are at the 18-minute, 30-second mark. So then we get the Martian Manhunter doing a press conference, and everyone's wondering what was up with the shaking on the island. And he gives a very glib response about, this is totally normal for any new facility, and this is a cutting-edge facility, and, it was just a malfunction of our environmental control systems. Nothing to worry about. But everything's fine. The only issue is that your rooms might be a little bit warm until we get the air conditioning back on. And they're hearing that there are a lot of unaffiliated Confederation people who have gone on high alert. Do you have anything to say about that? And Manhunter goes, what? I'm a businessman. I have nothing to add to this conversation. Springtime is saying, I always wondered why the UEO or NORPAC didn't make any other SeaQuest class submarines. Could have saved a lot of trouble in season 3. Are you trying to say season 3? Or episode 3? I'm assuming you mean season 3 with the S's, right, Springtime?
I don't know if we mentioned this yet, but this means being held at some type of underwater resort.
Oh, I very much missed that. Yeah. I thought they were on top of an island. So Springtime, if what you're trying to say is seasons, I'm not sure I followed your previous comment about the UEO was very new in season 3. The UEO was around much longer than it was in season 1 and season 2.
There's a time jump in between season 2 and season 3. So maybe
Right.
we're trying to say that by the time we get to them, the UEO has been around much longer as an organization.
Oh, there we go. I am glad one of us has basic reading comprehension. So Bridger, Noyce, and Madam Director are, trying to figure out what to do, how they need to respond to the situation, how they need to respond to the escalating military presence of the non-affiliated Confederate states. And the director is insisting that she needs to go out and tell the politicians or tell the news media that 8 Confederation heads are missing. And Noyce and Bridger are saying, no. That's the wrong thing to do right now. That's just going to escalate the situation. And she's really dead set on telling everyone, but they managed to buy a little bit of time. And so here we find out that the Manhunter has basically kidnapped these 8 heads of the UEO Confederation, and he's demanding that they sign a new UEO constitution, one that gives a more fair access for economic opportunities throughout the ocean. And President Xi, who I do believe this is the individual we saw earlier, was it not? In the space shuttle.
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah, so we've seen this guy before. He's the one who... hey, Geeks Enjoy Neuroerotica, how you doing? Glad I had you on the stream last night. I enjoyed that you were able to join us. And I hope you know I was just teasing you. I didn't mind that you were streaming at the same time. So I hope you know I was just joking there. But the President Xi, he says, what if we don't do this? What if we refuse to sign this new constitution? And Manhunter explains that no one knows where they are. They can all rot down here and die. So their options are to sign this or to spend a long time where no one can find them. So Bridger is saying, we need you to do a scan of the area. That he can't really tell them what's going on, but here's your orders. Do a scan of the area. Try to figure out the cave network down here. We need to figure out what's going on. And we're not sure who we're looking for, but we're at least looking for Lucas. Springtime. Sorry, I meant Season 1 and Season 2. The UEO was very new. And then in an episode of Season 3, the UEO was around for a lot longer than it was in Season 1, and the episode 4 was an incident. Okay, yeah. So meanwhile, Lucas here is giving a basic scientific explanation of what condensation is. But he explains that because there's condensation, just like when you're breathing in your car and the window fogs up, so he comes to the conclusion that they've been disconnected from the ventilation system and that they must be somewhere underneath the resort as he opens up this window. Which, while being an interesting way to kind of put the pieces together, a room of that size, I think, would take a lot longer to have condensation just from people breathing in it. It would make a lot more sense that the room was warmer than the area they were in now because they descended by a far bit. But, whatever. It's a convenient way to have the plot reveal that they are disconnected from the main facility and they are deep underground. And Bridger and Noyce are starting to notice that that the director has some weird priorities. She seems really too focused on the media and not focused enough on finding the directors, the missing Confederate leaders. And Bridger's walking around, pacing the floor, and he puts his hand on the podium and notices that the gum that Lucas had been chewing on isn't placed there anymore. And that gives him the clue. He realizes that no one disappeared from here. It's a whole new room.
Dun, dun, dun.
Springtime wants to know, is it true that Captain Bridger had invested in that underwater resort and got a lot of money in a Chinese bank? No, you're thinking of Pelosi investing in Tesla just in time for an executive order to mandate that all cars used by the federal government in DC will be Teslas. Weird coincidence, but no, Bridger's actually a pretty nice guy. And Bridger and Noyce are trying to explain the situation to the director. And she is saying, I have to go out and explain the situation. The people of the world need to know. We need to move fast. And Bridger's saying, I don't know what you're going to tell them. You're just going to be throwing oil on the fire. Just give us some time. And she agrees that she'll do all she can to stall, that there's just less than 2 hours before a press conference that's scheduled, and they have just 2 hours to figure out what's going on so she can give them some sort of information. And Bridger again is saying, we shouldn't be worrying about the press. We should be worrying about what's going on here. But for some reason, she doesn't seem to be very interested in finding out what's going on here. And President Xi, he quotes something from Confucius. And Lucas and him are having this kind of nice camaraderie moment where it seems like the other people here still seem to be arguing about something. But Lucas is building a compass that he's trying to figure out which way east is, because the SeaQuest is the east, and he wants to try and send a signal straight at them.
It's the old paperclip and a cup of water trick.
But he says he still needs a power source to... I guess his goal is to make an electromagnet out of the paperclip? I'm not sure if that holds... Are we going to reconnect here? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, everyone. We had a momentary disconnect. Thankfully, OBS was able to reconnect. But yeah, that might be some fun kid experiment where you can turn a paperclip into an electromagnet.
Sending out Darwin, finally. Get somebody real in the case.
Yeah. Bridger tells him to tell Darwin to listen to the mountain. Use those exact words. Listen to the mountains. And he tells O'Neill that he wants to become very good and very quick at computer imaging. And from that one statement, O'Neill is able to figure out what he wants him to do. And here we go. Here's Darwin. Darwin in his complete getup, just like what Thomas sent me right there with the underwater vest.
Well, that's exciting.
Springtime wants to know, how do I explain the corruption trials of the officers of the SeaQuest? I think you may be thinking of a different SeaQuest, or maybe I'm still in the past. Maybe I haven't reached that issue yet. And John's volume is coming in low. Let me fix that. Hopefully that fixes it for everyone. Stanley is saying, no offense, but I like these smaller live streams. Like the Neurotic or Doomcock before they blew up. It feels like an actual group gathering. The other guys are just podcasts at this point. Or they'll at least read any super chat. And you know, that's a hard thing. Once you get to a big size, I mean, if we ever got to be like a huge channel, I do enjoy these smaller ones where I get to read the live chats. It's sad on the virtual pub that I just can't keep up. There's too much going on with everyone being up here to be able to read the live chat going on. But I do enjoy these where I get to keep up also. But I certainly understand. I mean, I've watched a couple of those live streams with Doomcock and Nerdrotic. I can't even read the live chat. It's like you can't even communicate with the people in the live chat, let alone with the guy doing the stream. So Tim Raimi was able to write a program that cut out the face of everyone and map it onto a 3D rendering and create a satellite uplink. And from that, they were able to instantly create a realistic 3D imaging of the dignitaries taking a tour through the SeaQuest.
I love 2018 technology.
Oh, just fantastic. I'm clearly being too lazy in my videos if this is what we could do 3 years ago. But the director seems very upset by this. She seems very annoyed by the fact that they haven't just created this, but they're actually live streaming over a satellite uplink to the news, like world news stations. And she's saying, you put me in a really tough position. This is not acceptable. And then she all of a sudden changes, just a drop of a hat. Like, you know what? Yeah, this actually is a good thing. Good work. And Bridger goes, that's weird. Distress when there should be relief. I think she may be a traitor. Maybe so. That's true, Thomas. Jeff has no problems keeping up. That's because Jeff is, frankly, phenomenal. You guys see the way... I didn't even get to the point of why I kept asking what your thoughts are about changing some comic book characters' race or gender, because we kept getting distracted in the middle of the question. Jeff, on the other hand, he runs a tight ship. I think he needs to do some live streams where he has people onto his thing, because I think he would do a fantastic live stream talking whatever he wants to talk about. I would certainly tune in and enjoy that.
Definitely. Jeff for host.
Absolutely, Jeff for host. So we find out that she's been around for a long time. She's part of the old school of nation states. And he says,
and
look,
what do you know? They're talking about an impeachment. Where does
it's
that
true.
sound familiar?
SeaQuest is just always on point. And they realize that the reason she specifically invited Lucas was that this gave her leverage over the SeaQuest. And of course, as they find out that she's involved, we get to see her involvement in it also, which is pretty good storytelling. They sprinkled the hints, and now that it's been revealed, we actually get to see her conspiring with the Manhunter and everyone else. And she says, this is unacceptable. We need them to die at this point. This is getting out of hand. We need everyone to die. And it just so happens that they plan for this eventuality. So with a couple keystrokes, they open up a handful of pipes that begin to pump in seawater into the meeting room, which is sealed up.
But never fear, Darwin is here.
Darwin, Darwin, faster than lightning. And as he's swimming around, he starts to hear Lucas's music, which, I guess I thought it was a radio signal being sent out, but it turns out it's literally a speaker just being shoved out through this walk wall, through the steel plating, through everything. And Stanley is saying, haha, like, we want you to be successful and make money, but I come to YouTube for the interaction. Podcasts are fine if it's only meant to be a podcast. I know what you mean, Stanley. And, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, that'd be super cool to become a big channel. But at the same time, I have a day job that I really, really love, and I'm not looking to get rid of it at anytime soon. So I much more enjoy these smaller streams and being able to have fun with y'all. And Darwin comes back and reports, Lucas music. And Bridger mulls over it for a second and then realizes we need to focus our whiskers at this part of the mountain and scan for high-end frequencies. And they release the military police aboard the SeaQuest. And we hear the director of the UEO reporting, this is what we're going to do. You schedule a press conference and you let them know that on the way back from the SeaQuest, that as we're heading back from the SeaQuest, the Confederate dignitaries were tragically lost at sea. The dinghy ran into a mine and everyone died. And then we hear they find the riff track of Jimi Hendrix being played against someone else. So they've been able to locate the approximate location of Lucas. And they find out that it is directly below where they are. And Bridger wants to know, how am I going to get there? And he says, we think if you go through the ventilation system, which they thankfully made the ventilation system large enough for a human to crawl through. Huge relief. If I ever make a facility, I'm definitely having human-sized ventilation systems, even though it would just be like the worst for airflow.
Yeah, you never know when you have to crawl through them to rescue somebody.
Yeah. Stanley is saying it depends on the subject of the book. I think I may have missed a comment. But he's saying if the story...
about your idea with the...
What's that?
We were talking about it in the virtual pub last night about changing the race of the comic book characters.
Oh, wow. Man, I'm so glad you keep up with what's going on. But yeah, okay, so you're saying if the story is about Rosa Parks, then it might not work as well with a white woman playing Rosa. Yes, I agree to that. If the race of the character is integral to the character, such as Prince T'Challa from Wakanda, doesn't make sense for him to be anyone but a black man from Africa. But otherwise, I tend not to care. I was saying that I did like tangentially care about making the Ancient One not be an old Tibetan guy, simply because I feel like it was politically motivated, because they wanted to have big sales in China, and China doesn't like Tibet. They don't like anyone who talks about the Tibetan monks. And so I feel like that was their motivation, which I feel like was a jerk move on Disney's part. But in general, the concept of making the Ancient One be this Celtic lady, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, I enjoyed the concept, I just didn't like their motivation. So Bridger's going through the ventilation system. He's got climbing gear, and he's going to try and slide down here. And he goes headfirst into this giant slide, bouncing around. Not his finest moment as he does this. But he crashes right through a metal grating in the middle of a ventilation duct and comes to a stop. But she's revealing or doing her press conference about how they died, and so she's stepping up now. She's calling for basically a military coup, martial law of UEO. And Crocker wants to know where Bridger is. They're being very tight-lipped about this. They don't want to tip their hand about what they're up to. And Bridger finds his way to the spot where the guy died earlier in the episode, which, if you think about it, I doubt anyone got that guy. He is probably squished underneath this building right now, this elevator room. But thankfully, Bridger shows up and he hears them shouting through. I get the feeling that's supposed to be concrete, like reinforced concrete. We'll see momentarily. It's not. Stanley's saying, I'm sure Meryl Streep could pull off a Rosa Parks, but would have to do blackface. Yeah, that might not go over so well. So sometimes the race of an actor does matter. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it does. I think that a lot of these comic book characters, like if Tony Stark had been a black guy, I would not have cared. Tony being a rich white guy isn't integral to who Tony Stark is. He could have easily been any race. And here, this is where we see that it's not concrete, because he knocks it out and it floats on top of the water, making it more like foam particle board.
It's like the equivalent of transparent aluminum. It's really strong, but also really light at the same time.
That must be it. It's air-packed concrete. So, for some reason, Manhunter tries to make a stealthy get away, but Crocker gives a little head nod, and all the military police say, "No, you're going to stay right where you are, son." And at that point, Admiral Noy steps in and says, "This is treason. You're not doing this." And he says, this isn't okay. And the reason it's not okay is because here's all the people you were just claiming were dead. They're alive and well. And Admiral Noyes puts Madam Secretary under arrest. Stanley's saying, "I think at this point we can use CGI to alter the skin tone of any actor, play any race. Actors already use fake accent. Why not change anything necessary with CGI?" Interesting point. If it was pure CGI, I wouldn't care. If it was live action with CGI being done over them, I think if you want a black actor, just hire a black actor. If it's a cartoon, I don't care who's doing the voice. And here we finally get it. Admiral Noyce is promoted to the head of the UEO. And Admiral Noyce says, "But this can't work. The head of the UEO is supposed to be a civilian position. I'm a military man." And you just see the general give this quaint little smile like, "Not anymore, you aren't." And off they go as you hear Lucas's music playing, and Admiral Noyce says, "Oh, what happened to the days of U2? U2 used to be such a wonderful band." That joke aged well. And we get our wonderful Bob Ballard talking about how in the olden days, the sovereign territory of a nation used to go 3 miles into the ocean, and now it extends 200 miles into the ocean from your shoreline, which makes for all sorts of interesting issues when you get to something like where American sea line would, kind of overlap with Cuban sea line and would overlap with Mexican sea line. How does that work when you're supposed to go 200 miles into or off the shore there? But that's it for the episode. Fun episode.
Yes, another good, exciting rescue by Darwin.
It was. He actually had a legitimate role. Wasn't as Darwin centric as I thought it was going to be when the former head of the UEO talked about, Darwin's amazing. I want him to come to the summit with us. I'm like, oh no, not more Darwin, not another episode all about Darwin. But no, it ended up being kind of more Lucas focused, which I like the Lucas focus episodes. It's good to see him level up his character as he grows. Let's see. Stanley was saying, why not change Black Panther actor? It's actually perfect since the superpowers just come from a magical plant and they change characters in the comics all the time. Interesting. Like, T'Challa himself would need to be black. But it would be an interesting what if to see, like, what if the Black Panther died and he handed his powers over to a young white kid, a young Asian kid. That'd be an interesting story. But if you're going to do T'Challa, you need that origin of the Black Panther to be a black man from Wakanda. Like, it wouldn't make sense to have like some white guy from South Africa, because Wakanda is supposed to be completely isolated from the rest of the world. So it really doesn't make sense for that African tribe to be anything but a black African tribe. But as you expand out, it would be interesting. Like the same way you now have Miles Morales. That's an interesting version or take on Spider-Man. I'm enjoying his character. So yeah, I can see it going both ways like that. Robert Rose Jr. saying, I'm not sure if this is the actor that plays Martian Manhunter. I thought it was the actor that played the Mantis. Ooh, was it the actor who played the Mantis? Okay, we will find out right now. We'll go over to IMDb and look at not Heartland. That's something else. Look at
Yeah, I'm looking at
SeaQuest.
it now. It does say he was in Supergirl.
It might have been both. Let's see. We are... Where are we? The last lap at Luxury. And it was... What was his actor's name?
Carl Lumbly.
Yeah.
He was also, I thought the name was familiar. He was also the voice of the Manhunter on the old Justice League show.
So yeah, he was both. All right, so I'm looking at him on IMDb, and he was Mantis. Very nicely caught. And maybe I'm mistaken. I thought he was. Yep, he's John's, or no, he's Myron Jones. So he's not John Jones, he's Myron Jones. So he's not Manhunter. Interesting. I was mistaken on that. It's just, as I was typing in the different actor names as part of the tags for YouTube, it popped up Manhunter over as one of the suggestions once I typed in his name. So I assumed we were talking about John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, but apparently not. You learn.
Oh well, you were half right.
You learn how wrong you are. Just new levels every day. Let's see. Stan is saying, I'm not sure if it's just political gesturing, posturing. Marvel will just have to wait whatever the correct movie role morning period is meant to be. Oh, talking about like if you wanted to have a white Black Panther. Yeah. Let's see. Like the Avatar girl is black in real life, but blue in the movie. I don't think anyone has a problem with alien races that are different colors, like an Orion slave girl or an Avatar blue, whatever they are, being portrayed by people who aren't actually green and blue. You never can tell anymore. I literally had a conversation today with a person who was ridiculing a teacher for committing suicide because due to the lockdowns, he wasn't allowed to see his kids, and he felt totally isolated, totally alone. Going through a divorce, wasn't allowed to see his kids, committed suicide. And I made the comment like, yeah, there's a lot of hurt going on with the lockdowns. We really need to end them. They're not having their intended result, and people are suffering. And a guy actually ridiculed him for committing suicide, and ridiculed him like, oh well, there's different ways to see your kids. And I'm shocked that people are so willing to be dicks, to be quite honest. And the craziest thing, this guy's Twitter handle was "Don't be FK in rude." And I'm like, that's your Twitter handle, but you're literally being FK in rude. Whatever. People are just ready to be idiots. That's all I got here. Josh Street, what happened to Life with Matthew? He used to be a good channel. Now he's just another Kurogan. I've always been just another Kurogan.
I mean, listen to that language he was using. Whew.
Yeah. Gosh, telling you people's screen names, I'm the worst. Professor Brainspec saying, thank you, Life with Matthew and John DiMarco. Very happy to do it. And seriously, Professor, I would love to see you do a test live stream. I think that would be fantastic. Thomas wants to know, who is Mantis? Mantis? Oh gosh, if I could find that. Oh, I wonder if it's on Peacock. I gotta check this out right now. Maybe if I can spell. Come on now. PeacockTV.com. This would be the coolest thing ever if it actually... Oh, shoot. It's going to make me sign in, and I do not remember what my password is. Survey says... I got it. Awesome. Okay, Mantis. Oh, no. That would have been too easy. Man, maybe I gotta put in the dots or the periods. Mantis. Nope. Okay, so Mantis was a single season series in which you had the titular character who was confined to a wheelchair, but by donning the Mantis suit, he was able to gain mobility again. So his whole idea was just, I'm going to cure my immobility and be able to move around again. But what he ended up doing was creating a suit that made him a superhero, basically. And he called himself the Mantis. And, it would always be a real tense moment because his suit would constantly be running out of power. So he'd suddenly not be able to walk anymore, and he'd be having to crawl on the ground, and the bad guys would be coming. And it was a fantastic series. It was on par with the 1990s Flash TV show, which is either going to tell you everything good or bad about it that you need to know right there. And yes, my mute ended. There we go. Everyone's hearing beeps from people in Discord beeping at me. But it was a real fun one. Definitely low production costs, but fun nonetheless. And then, and yeah, Stanley, Zoom meeting with your family, definitely not the same at all. That you're getting the same level of interaction with me that you got with your mom yesterday because it was a Zoom call. Yeah, you just, it's so different. Absolutely different. And my heart goes out to this guy. I hate that he was put in this situation. Absolutely hate it. I understand we made the best choices we could at the time. And I understand people are afraid to lift it because then, you get blamed for everything. But it's not working. It's not working, and I hate to see people suffer. And let's see. Joshua is saying, I'm going to go back to watching Stargate, The Ark of Truth, since it's free to watch on YouTube. Very cool. Nice way. Was that the last one in Stargate? Was that how they wrapped up the official SG-1 series?
I'm just working my way through it for the first time now, so I don't know.
I think so. And Stanley is saying, cool, just heard that they are remastering Babylon 5. I actually saw that today. Professor Brainley Specs mentioned that over in Anti-Truckers Discord today, and along with a link, I believe it was. And honestly, I don't have enough reference to see how good the remastering was. They did not go the full treatment like with TOS. They did a remastering of actually, doing CGI for all the scenes where you saw the Enterprise traversing through space. They redid the CGI for them being around planets. And, it looks better. I personally enjoy the older effects. I'm nostalgic for that. But you can't deny that they look better. So I was kind of hoping that that's what we would get with Babylon 5. It would get a full-on facelift. But I didn't have any reference, so I was asking about it. And Professor Brainy Specs was telling me that it's the same CGI that you see. All the CGI is the same, so they didn't give the CGI a facelift. But what I think they did is when you actually record on film media, you can improve the process of transitioning that film to digital. And it seems like that's really what they focused on. That's why you can have a commercial from the 1980s and have it suddenly be a 1080p crisp. No, it was 4K they did it for. This past year, everyone was amazed about this 4K commercial from the 1980s. And what it is they just improved the capturing of the stills to digital. So I kind of get the feeling that's what they focused on in this remastered version of Babylon 5. But it is available on HBO's streaming service, whatever that one is. So I wish it was available on one of the streaming services I already had, instead of having to pay more money for a streaming service that, frankly, I don't want. I don't really like HBO. I don't like the content they put out. So it kind of sucks that I might have to get it just for one series that I want to watch, because I really, really want to watch it. Stanley wants to know, did they frame it for 16:9 aspect ratio? From what I saw, no. And unfortunately, like I was saying in the Discord server, I know why they can't. I just wish they could. And the honest truth of the matter is that when they did the recording, 16:9 would have been capturing outside the bounds of the set. You would have seen things propping up. You would have seen the boom mic hanging down. You would have been peeking behind the curtain to get 16:9. Is my understanding for a lot of these shows. Professor Framespecs is saying they could do 16:9. The DVDs were released in 16:9. What? That makes no sense because all the previews in that video were 4:3. That makes no sense. Stanley's saying since Paramount idiots recorded on 35 film but mastered it all in 4:3. Oh, you're saying that's what they did. That even though they recorded on 35 millimeter film, they remastered on 4:3. Yeah, that is really stupid. That makes no sense whatsoever. So that now you have either 4:3 HD or you have to do a zoom crop to make it 16:9. That's whatever. But yeah, it's not just upscale. They actually did. They did it. They did their work, is what it looks like. No complaints there. So hey, John, as we're caught up with the chats now, how did you like this episode? What were the I guess were there any moments in this episode that made you go, well, that was dumb, or that didn't make any sense?
I mean, I don't have any complaints about this episode. I thought it was fun to watch. And of course, it featured Darwin in an important role, which is always to be appreciated.
Yeah, so good point. That would be my one complaint. It featured Darwin. But beyond that, it was a good episode. They did a good job kind of peppering the chairwoman is evil. I mean, you knew right from the get-go that the not Martian Manhunter, but different Manhunter was a bad guy. But they did a good job kind of doing the little trail, letting you put the pieces together for the nice reveal moment. It was a fun episode. Pacing was good. So yeah, I don't have any complaints. My one single nitpick was that the concrete floated in water, and that is such a nitpick. Like that does not at all detract from the episode. That's just something. In fact, that's something I enjoy because then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm kind of getting a peek behind the curtain. That was funny. I enjoy a moment like that. What about things that were great in the episode? What were some really great things you enjoyed this week?
Well, I liked that they brought back actors we've seen before in the same roles, even if it's not a big thing like we saw the president from before.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like the guy who plays that Admiral Noyce.
Yes,
And he's a good buddy with Bridger, and you feel their camaraderie. And even though he wants to be a military man, he's probably the best man for the job, being in charge.
Yeah, and I pretty much already said everything that I really liked about it. Good pacing. Like you said, John, it was fun to see the actors reprising their role. Like, I missed it the first time around that President Xi was the same president that we saw in an early episode where the astronauts came down in the wrong spot and everyone rushed to rescue them. And the military of the guy's military was acting independent of him. He kept trying for peace. The military kept trying for war. And eventually he took out the head of the military. And then we get to see him again. I thought that was really great consistency. Like you said, getting to see the president again. Getting to see Admiral Noyce / Admiral Paris was always fun. You really bought the camaraderie between them. All in all, it was just a fun, good episode.
Even Bridger got to do a little bit of action hero type stuff.
Yeah, he really did. Let's see. Stanley's saying the TNG show was 35mm, then transferred to HD video 4:3 to do all the special effects. And that's true. And like I said, even if you did 16:9, at 16:9, you see off the set. So unfortunately, even if you completely remastered things such that the special effects were 16:9, like you redid all the special effects, you still wouldn't be able to get a 16:9. Not a true 16:9. Something would have to be sacrificed in order to get a 16:9 for TNG. I get the feeling the same thing for Voyager. I'm not sure about DS9. I remember we talked about this a long time ago, and I don't remember, because people far more knowledgeable than I am on this were able to be like, oh yeah, I think maybe even for DS9, because I want to say they've done some HD quality stuff for DS9, but it still wasn't 16:9. I don't know. Someone in the chat will correct me, I'm sure, or comment later on.
They did some HD stuff on what we left behind. I don't know any of the details on that though.
True, very true. Like one of the things I know is, man, I want to say for TNG even, I swear they did it on videotape instead of film. Because I swear they kind of treated it like a daytime soap opera of the time, and it was just so much easier for them to do videotape. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but man, I could swear I remember hearing that somewhere. And yeah, Stanley, at least they didn't crop and zoom. You can do that yourself by your TV. And remember when the old way of making something widescreen was just to zoom in and cut off the top and bottom? Yeah. Then you had to decide where you're going to sacrifice anything at the bottom of the screen or anything at the top of the screen. And typically you had to sacrifice the bottom, because if you sacrifice the top, like, you would be cutting off their heads. And Stanley is saying that Voyager was all videotape. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Voyager was a videotape. So they can't do an HD remaster. Maybe the same with DS9? Well, we gotta look it up, because unfortunately they did make a mistake. If only they had the foresight to know in the future video standards would be so different. Oh gosh, their blindness boggles the mind. Well, John, any final thoughts as we wrap up this week's episode?
I continue to enjoy watching the show, especially it's been great fun sharing it with everybody.
It really is, guys, and thanks for joining us week after week as we have fun. Doing this. So, guys, thank you again for joining us. Everyone, take care, and I look forward to seeing you next week as we watch. Oh, what is it? Season 1, episode 21, Abalon.
Special guest star.
With a special... I look forward to finding out who it is. So everyone, take care, and we will see you next week.
Night.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.